All right, everybody, welcome back to the #1 television program in the history of the entire universe. I am Brian Lee Durfee, author of The Forgetting Moon, The Blackest Heart, and The Lonesome Crown, all three books published by Simon & Schuster's Saga Press. Today, we're going to be doing a review of both the book The Godfather by Mario Puzo and, well, the trilogy of movies. And kind of a compare and contrast and what I think of both as works of art. Let's talk about the book first. Came out in 1969. You know I love graphic design and cover illustration, so let's talk about the cover. It basically looks very Godfather-esque. I mean, it's basically the same thing on all sides. Nothing real special about it, but hey, it gets the job done. Written by Mario Puzo. Well, let's look at the DVDs. Well, the Blu-rays. I think these are Blu-rays. That's all right. I mean, it's all right. So, the book. How does it stack up against the movies? This is one of those things where I watched the movies many, many times before I ever read the book. And I read the book twice now. I read it about 20 years ago, and then I just reread it now. And I just rewatched all of these movies. And I have a personal connection to movie number 3. And I'll talk about that, hopefully, if I remember. The Godfather, the book. Big bestseller from 1969, became the basis for 2 spectacular movies that, surprisingly, as I was reading this book again and sort of rewatching the movies at the same time, the first 100 or so pages of this book follow almost beat for beat what happens in the first hour or so of the original Godfather film, which was shockingly surprising. I don't know why. I mean, Mario Puzo, along with Francis Ford Coppola, wrote the screenplay. So the very author of the book wrote the screenplay for the movie. So that would explain why it was kind of like beat for beat with, each scene. We open up with the daughter, Bonacera's daughter, getting beaten, and then Bonacera going to the Godfather and asking him if he will fix this. Will you avenge my daughter? And then we get this scene with the wedding at the Long Island, the big Long Island estate of the Godfather, and where we get to meet all of the characters. Sorry, I'll edit that out. But anyway, what's great about the movies, and along with the book, is each movie, you'll notice, starts with a scene where we kind of get to meet all of the characters. In the Godfather, it's that wedding scene where Don Vito's daughter is being married, and we get to meet Santino, Sonny, the oldest, played by James Caan, of course, and then we get to meet Frederick, or Fredo, the middle child, and then we get to meet Michael, the returned Marine, who is the young gun and the kind of the tough guy, and then we get to meet Don Hagen, the consigliere of Don Vito, and it's set in 1945. And we get to meet all the characters, and all the characters are really established in that wedding scene, which is about a half hour long. And then in Godfather 2, it opens up with on the shores of Lake Tahoe, where Michael Corleone, the young son of Don Vito, is being awarded some sort of award from the governor, and so we kind of get to meet all the characters that are important to that movie. As the camera sort of pans around this big, huge, massive party that takes place on the beach of Lake Tahoe, and the party moves in and out between the house and the boathouse, and as Michael Corleone meets with different characters, and that's kind of what happens in book 1 and movie 1, where Bonacera asks the Godfather, played by Marlon Brando, will you do me this favor? And then Johnny Fontaine shows up, the Hollywood movie star singer. He shows up, and he needs a favor. And the only thing that Don Vito Corleone ever asks is, he's just like, well, I will fix your problem, but one day, all I ask is for your true friendship. And one day, I will require a favor of you that you must do. That's all he ever asks, and then he takes care of it. In fun, brutal, grim, gritty, great ways in the book and especially the movies. And, yeah, it's just, it was a joy to just spend the last week reading through the book, watching these 3 movies, and enjoying the entire Godfather. I've often said, and this goes with The Sopranos too. When I watch The Sopranos is my favorite TV show. The Godfather trilogy is some of my favorite movies. And every time I watch these gangster films, whether it's The Sopranos or The Godfather, it's like, I feel like they're almost inviting me into their family. Like, I feel like when Tony Soprano has a barbecue in his backyard, that I would be welcome there. You know what I mean? That, and I'd like to go. I'd like to go attend one of them. And the same thing with a party thrown by Michael Corleone or Don Vito Corleone. It's like, or a wedding. It's like, I feel like I would be invited there and be treated like a king. As long as I was not involved in the whole gangsta stuff, then that might be a different thing. But I think that they were just like very gracious hosts to everybody. And the parties were super dope. I just wish I could be part of it. I don't know. Maybe that's a weird wish. But anyway, I think you get what I'm saying. So now let's talk about the book itself. Is written it's almost masterfully written. The scenes are well described. The characters are well rounded. You can see how like the Godfather 1 movie and the Godfather 2 movie, which are based off of this book. And like I said, the first 100 pages or so, beat for beat for the movies. Then movie number 1 and movie number 2 sort of diverge a little bit, but the stuff is still the same. It's just the order in which things are told are a little bit odd and off from the book with the movies. But it all is there. The different trips to Sicily, the different flashback scenes, all of it's there. But now let's talk about movie number 1, which is just a great movie. Is only eclipsed by movie number 2. Like, The Godfather Part 2 is probably, in my opinion, the absolute perfect movie. Godfather 1, almost perfect. Godfather 2, 100% beat for beat, line for line, scene for scene. Absolute gorgeous perfection. I just was drinking in every single scene of it, and I was just like finding the spots in this book where those different episodes happen. And there's some divergences, there's some differences. And then we get to Godfather Part 3, which is not in this. The Godfather Part 3, I have a personal story about that. When I was in New York in 1989, just walking down the street, me and my friend, we came across the street that was blocked off in Manhattan. There was things, and there was like it looked like a big movie production was going on, all right? And so we were like standing behind the yellow tape, like watching to see what it was, and then we kind of like, hey, what are they filming? And someone next to us says, well, it's the Godfather Part 3. And I was like, oh, cool. So we stood and watched for about an hour, and this is what I saw. I saw Al Pacino and another actor get out of a car and walk up the stairs and into a building. They did it about 10 times. That's all I saw. And I was like, cool, that's like super dope. And so then when the movie came out, I specifically watched for that scene to see if it was in the movie. Never saw it. Never saw that scene in the movie. Or if I did see it in the movie, I just misremembered what it looked like in real life. But anyway, that's the thing. Now, I did enjoy movie number 3 probably a lot more than other people did. I enjoyed, and this is another thing that people will probably hammer down, I enjoyed, because Sofia Coppola takes a lot of shit for that movie because, she's the daughter of the director, and people said she did a bad job. I liked her performance. I thought it was very, underplayed. I thought it was very subtle and it's not like she didn't, over the top anything. I think she just kind of played herself. I think she just like read the lines. But I think that worked for the character that she was playing. I mean, an 18-year-old girl, she acted like an 18-year-old girl who adored her father, but knew her father was into some bad shit. And she didn't, it wasn't a crazy performance. It was like an actual, like, I liked it, and I liked the movie. Did I like the movie as much as 1 and 2? No. But I liked the movie quite a bit. 10 out of 10 for the book. 10 out of 10 for Godfather 1. 10 out of 10 for Godfather 2. And I'd say like an 8 out of 10 for Godfather 3.